Hello, and welcome to the Complete Lakers podcast. I'm Anthony Wilson, recording from Los Angeles, California. So tonight the Lakers were in Chicago. They faced the Bulls. The last time the Lakers were in Chicago, they collapsed down the stretch, and Josh Giddey hit a three-point shot from beyond half court to stun the Lakers. It was quite memorable in a bad way if you're a Lakers fan. And tonight the Lakers came out and they had a little bit more pep in their step. They're led by as many as 20 points in the first half. Of course, with the basketball, more than ever being a game of runs. The Bulls made a run in the second half. I think they cut it to a 1-point game. Of course, it wouldn't be the Lakers if they didn't. Lakers don't play 4 straight quarters of good basketball, right? And then the Lakers, but they rebounded, and they were able to win in the end by a final score of 129-118. Luka Doncic had 46 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists. He shot 15 of 25 from the floor, including 8 of 14 from 3. LeBron James had 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Rui Hachimura had a second straight strong game off the bench. He had 23 points on 9 of 11 shooting. He was also 4 of 5 from three-point range. Deandre Ayton continues to struggle. In his last 4 games now, he has just 23 points on 11 of 31 shooting. And he hasn't played 25 minutes in any of those games. That's after that really strong game where he didn't miss from the field. That was 5 games ago. So, I don't know. I'm starting to think that maybe, just maybe. I don't think. DeAndre Ayton has never come off the bench in his career. But maybe if if they did that for just a couple of games, that would get him going and, kind of spur him back into action. His play just seems to really just come and go, Like I said, when he was in Portland, I bet on him. And, that's something I would notice. I feel like, I said that I feel like the Blazers, they went as he did, but you just never knew which Ayton was going to show up. And more recently, he's just really been struggling. I said outside of that one game, and JJ just seems to be kind of just fed up with it. And playing Jackson Hayes more. They're pretty much just splitting time now at this point. Jackson just much more active. Not that they don't have the talent that Ayton has. But he runs the floor and he's been hitting the boards. That's what Jackson Hayes brings. And lately he's been closing games. So like I said, you don't want to completely alienate Ayton because unless they move him, they're gonna need him. Come a point when they. And also, I think he's important. Just kind of like I remember when Andrew Bynum in the 2009 and 2010 playoffs, right? So, young Bynum comes out 2008. He's having this great season. Hurts his knee for the first time. Doesn't come back that season. And then the next 2 years, he would also miss time with knee injuries, as I recall. And then in the playoffs, we never really got to see a peak or a healthy and completely vital Andrew Bynum in any of those 3 finals runs. Because like I said, he missed the whole playoffs in the second half of the season, in 2008. And the next 2 years, he was playing, but, the injuries had... Bynum went on to have an all-star season in 2012. But during those playoff runs, he was not 100%. But my point is that just his size alone was a big factor, which is so we missed his size and his presence in 2008. So I think Ayton could bring that, even if he's not being that productive. Even if if it's 20 to 25 minutes a game of him just being big, you know, that would help. Uh, so yeah, like I said, I don't think it should be a full-time thing where you just completely bench him, because he's already not playing well, so you don't want to make him completely useless going forward. But yeah, just something for JJ to consider. Maybe if you bench him for a few games, and maybe that'll wake him up, and then you put him back in there, see if that changed anything. You know, yeah, it's just not really a good fit for him, because really what Luka needs is somebody like a Nick Claxton, so a rim runner, somebody who can catch lobs. That's what Jackson Hayes does, but Jackson Hayes is really not somebody who should be playing more than about 15 minutes a game, for being honest. Nothing against him. It just is what it is. That's his niche in the league. Something we've noticed from the Lakers, or at least I have, in the last, uh, few games, is their ability, let's say not so much tonight, but against the Clippers, and then also against the Mavericks. That Maverick game was a real doozy, because they were winning in the first half, and the Mavericks came back, took over, and the Lakers were down like 14 or 15 in the fourth quarter, and then just came back and won it. The Lakers have shown us that they do have like another gear that they can hit defensively, where they're just very active, and everybody's closing out and rotating and forcing turnovers, and I think that big one of the most important aspects of defense is you know closing out the defensive possession by getting the defensive rebound. So they show that they can do that in spurts, but really not more than like maybe a 5 minute stretch, 6 minute stretch in each half at best. You know, um, now and that thing that makes a team like OKC so special is that OKC plays like that for 4 straight quarters. You know, even OKC has been struggling, but I digress. Now let me go on a tangent. Um, yeah, but the Lakers don't. They're just a low energy team, and they can't play with that type of sustained effort and energy for 4 straight quarters, or really anything like it. Uh, so they just kind of pick their spots. So when they do, you know, they they look really good defensively. And defense is energy, so you feed off that. You know, so yeah, that was just something that I've noticed. You know, Lakers are 28-17 now. You know, I'm not looking at the schedule. I know they have Cleveland coming up, and I forget who else. But yeah, they're on the Grammy trip. I think this was game 4 of the Grammy trip. It's an 8-game trip, the yearly trip. And yeah, I mean, right now, I think pretty much at the Lakers, and I think Austin Reeves is he's getting closer. He did I don't forget what they call it, where like the guy will like work out with the staff, and he was looking, he looked good. So he's right at now. Tonight is January 26th, so it's been 1 month and 1 day since he re-aggravated that calf injury against the Rockets on Christmas Day. It was going to be 4 weeks before he was reevaluated, so he's just about ready to be reevaluated now. And then, like I said, the Lakers are a team that they feed off of the energy that he brings. So it'll be big to get him back, and then we just have to see, man. See if this team can string together some nice runs and start playing better. They've been Or they started 15-4. Now they're 28-17. So they're 500 since that hot start, 13-13. And I think you know, for the most part, you'll continue to see the Lakers play like, it's maybe a little bit better than 500 ball the rest of the way. They'll win a couple, they'll lose one, maybe two, and they'll win three in a row. Then they'll lose one, then they'll win one, and they might lose one or two in a row. You know, and you just got to hope that they're able to keep pace and stay above that 7th seed. It just sucks that it's going to come down once again to. Last year, let's see what the Lakers last year. What was it, the 3rd seed, right? Forget. Well, they only got to 50 wins. They won 50 games two years in a row. You know, which is crazy because you wouldn't even think that they. You would think the Lakers have won 50 games the last 2 years, the way people talk about the Lakers. People talk about the Lakers like the Lakers are absolutely terrible. But that's what it is when you're the Lakers. The scrutiny is just that much brighter. The criticism, really, nothing is objective in the way that people look at you. You know. So, that's that on those old Lakers. I wanted to say something about Derrick Rose. He got his jersey retired by the Bulls last week, and there was a lot of talk about it. Derrick Rose, one of those guys who, a fan favorite, not just in the city of Chicago, of course, where he's from, born and raised in Chicago, but someone who is just beloved all around the NBA, right? So, I was first introduced to Derrick Rose. When I say introduced, I mean not literally introduced, but metaphorically. When I first heard of Derrick Rose, it's when he was in high school. He was the number 1 player in the country, and then Eric Gordon was the number 2 player in the country. And then, of course, D. Rose goes to Memphis, and he plays for John Calipari. They make the national championship game where they lose to Kansas. This is, remember, Memphis not being able to make their free throws down the stretch in the national championship game in Kansas with Mario Chalmers and company. I think Brandon Rush. They were able to pull that out. And so then D. Rose goes to the league, number 1 overall pick. He's the first pick in the draft. And, the Bulls have been, the Bulls had, you can't forget the years of, Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon. Those were exciting years for the Bulls, right? Of course, nothing will ever match the euphoria that Chicago experienced watching Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and those guys win 6 championships under Phil Jackson in the 1990s. But, with D. Rose, they made the conference finals in 2011. 2010, that was like the we're coming year. They lost to the Celtics in 7 games, the eventual champion Celtics in 7 games. And then the next year, they made the conference finals. And we're talking D. Rose, we're talking Keith Bogans, Luol Deng, Carlos Boozer, Joakim Noah, right? And they lose to Miami. D. Rose wins the MVP. He becomes the youngest ever NBA MVP. And the next year, he tears his ACL. So he suffers his first, major knee injury. And basically, he was never the same. And but he's still something of a it's like almost like an urban legend. He's often mentioned in the when people have the great what if discussions. What if this guy hadn't gotten hurt? Which guy do you wish if you could go back and snap your finger and see him have a healthy and full career, who would you most like to see that happen to? Of course, Bill Walton is the old timers answer, and then more recently you have Grant Hill, you have Penny Hardaway, and you have Derrick Rose, guys like that. Um, Now that MVP that he won over LeBron in 2011, right? That was D Rose. He was the best player on the best team. The Bulls won 61 games, I think it was that year, maybe 62. But I mean, come on, like LeBron was the best player in the world, uh, and it's like Barkley in '93. He won it over Michael. Of course, Michael was the best player in the world, and then in the finals, I mean, Jordan just pretty much sorted that thing out on the court the way it's supposed to be. But I mean, Derrick Rose was no Charles Barkley, right? I mean, he was a fantastic player that season, and while he was healthy, but he was no Charles Barkley. And of course, they played different positions. I'm just talking about overall, quality as a basketball player. At his best, Derrick Rose was not on the same stratosphere as Charles Barkley. And 97, Malone won it over Jordan. Uh, that was even more questionable because the Bulls still had the best record. That was like a career MVP for Karl Malone. Uh, but I mean, Derrick Rose was at his best was no Karl Malone. Um, that MVP really went to Derrick Rose more than anything. Because that was the year the first year LeBron was in Miami, and the whole world hated LeBron. All right, so and Derrick Rose was still just kind of living off of that. Like I said, he was a fantastic player, but when I think about him, it's like Russell Westbrook, he's highly celebrated, but it's like someone like John Wall. Like I think of he's Rose is most known for being like one of the freakiest athletes ever at the point guard position, up there with Westbrook, and then like I said, John Wall, right? John Wall is of that same ilk, and really overall, John Wall had a better career than Derrick Rose did, and I would even say that at his best, John Wall was 95% of what Derrick Rose was. But John Wall is not talked about as fondly as Derrick Rose is, right? And I don't know. There's just something about Derrick Rose that people love, and he did have so many interests. It became really like a human interest story, you know. I mean, something about the story in general. Him coming from being born in Chicago, and then playing for the Bulls, and the injuries. It really is one hell of a story. But I just never quite was as swept up in it. And when people talk about him now, it's like if I was starting a team, like I said, I give him credit. Like John Wall, like I said, I asked myself, you put John Wall on that Bulls team. Are they still a 60, 61, 62 win team? Maybe they don't get that far, but they win 55 to 57 games, I say. If you put D Rose on the Wizards team, and John Wall played on some good Wizards team in his best days. If you put if you put Derrick Rose on the Wizards, is it possible they sneak past and make a conference final? Well, probably not while LeBron is there. But my point is, yeah, probably a little bit better. So yeah, I would say Derrick Rose. Well, like I said, like you're talking about John was probably 95% of what Derrick Rose was, and we don't talk about John Wall the same way. And he also suffered a major injury that robbed him of his prime. So D Rose getting his jersey retired, that's great. But I mean, who else has their jersey retired? It was obviously Jordan and Pippen. I'm not sure who else. But I mean, it's great that he got his jersey retired, but it's almost like a pity type thing, that more than anything, And I just hate to be the guy who I hate to be the turd in the punch bowl, right? But this, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know if I've ever fully, maybe I haven't fully expressed how I feel about Derrick Rose on here, and I know it just makes me sound like a hater, but it is what it is, bro. So he was a he was a very good player, but like I mean, like he wasn't Penny Hardaway, he wasn't Grant Hill, you know. I don't think, I don't think he was, even at his best. When you think about Penny Hardaway, young Penny, Grant Hill, I don't think he was like them. You know, so but he's mentioned alongside them, so that's kind of why I had to say that. But yeah, shout out to D Rose. That kind of sounds ridiculous for me to say shout out to D Rose now after what I just was talking about. It's pretty much denouncing him for the last 5 minutes, but yeah, shout out to D Rose. You know, his jersey's up there with Jordan and Pippen. Doesn't that sound stupid? I mean, doesn't that seem ridiculous? I mean, but yeah, shout out to D Rose, man. You know, you're a Bulls legend. All right, so I want to transition now to the NFL. Uh, Conference championship weekend was yesterday, Sunday. The Patriots visited the Broncos. They played in a blizzard, snow bowl, and kind of like the Patriots when they beat the Raiders in 2001 in the snow. But that was in New England in Foxborough. And the Patriots was, of course, the Broncos without their starting quarterback Bo Nix, and Jared Stidham, the former Patriot, in Nix's place. The Patriots were able to escape with a 10-7 victory to advance to the Super Bowl. Not much to write about. I mean, it was just one of those games where basically, you know, somebody had to win. And the Patriots just made one more. I mean, the Broncos couldn't make a field goal. Patriots were able to make one, and that was the difference. And I'm someone who, because LA didn't have a football team when I first started watching football. First Super Bowl I watched, I think, was the first Super Bowl I actually sat down and watched in full was that Patriots Rams Super Bowl, because I was kind of late to football, so I was 12 when that happened. But I had been a baseball fan first, and a basketball fan, and then I started getting into football later than most kids do. And yeah, I would root for the Patriots. Kind of like how I think a lot of people around the country in the '90s, if they didn't have an NBA team, they would just root for Michael Jordan and the Bulls, right? And that's pretty much how I looked at Tom Brady and the Patriots. When the Rams and the Chargers, they came back in 2017. That was their first year. Was it I think it was 2016 or 2017. It was their first year. The Rams' first year back in Los Angeles, and the Chargers. I don't think did the Chargers have a. Chargers might have played one season in LA, at the very beginning of their franchise or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, they can, and then we had LA had NFL teams again, and I can't say that. So I did like the Rams at first too, the greatest show on turf. But then when the Patriots beat them, of course that was when the Rams were in St. Louis. But then when the Patriots beat them, and I would still follow the Rams and kind of root for them, like when they had Mark Bolger, but the Patriots kind of especially as the years went on, that was a team that I would root for. And now they obviously Mike Vrabel, the head coach who played linebacker on those first 3 Super Bowl teams of theirs, And then, of course, Josh McDaniels, who's the offensive coordinator on the latter three Super Bowl teams, he's back as offensive coordinator. And, it just kind of feels very familiar, right? Um, so, they have Drake May, who I like. They have Stephon Diggs. The rest of the guys are pretty miscellaneous to me. But, that's the Patriot way. The Patriot way is you have a great quarterback, and you got a bunch of guys who maybe they're not household names, but you got a bunch of good football players, and they play together. They play as a team, and they represent, um, their franchise well. And then you throw they have Stephon Diggs in there, who's been a very good NFL receiver, and he's Cardi B's baby daddy. And he has a bunch of kids, and he's like, he's a household name in the black ghetto community. Uh, so yeah, shout out to the Patriots. Then in the NFC, we had the Rams, the hometown team. They went into Seattle to face the Seahawks, and it was a hell of a game. The Seahawks were just a step ahead for most of the game. The Seahawks would go back up, by 11. Rams would cut it to 7, and it kind of stayed like that. And then the Rams, with a chance to take the lead there late in as the fourth quarter was winding down, they weren't able to convert on fourth down. The Seahawks take over, and they're able to run the clock. I think it was 1:16 left or something like that. Was it? I don't think they didn't give them that much time. It was under a minute when the Rams got the ball back, I think. And I forget. But anyway, the Rams, they weren't able to get, there wasn't enough time. And they didn't have any timeouts either. And so they weren't able to get it done. Now, this is one that the Rams, first of all, shout out to Matt Stafford, completely dominated in the 3 playoff games he played. I think he threw what the numbers were, but he was fantastic in his both Stafford and Darnold threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes in this game. But the Seahawks just it probably have to be that muff punt. So yes, that led to a Seahawks touchdown. Although Tariq Woolen, he kind of and returned the favor and allowed he took a touchdown off the board for the Seahawks and then allowed the Rams to score a touchdown, or the Rams scored a touchdown on him. So, yeah, it was just one of. I feel like it's when I was shocked that Sam Darnold played that well, right? And I'm just one of those people who still keeps waiting, like Bomani Jones said, he's just always waiting for Sam Darnold to turn back into Sam Darnold. I'm one of those guys myself. That's the first thing. And then I just think for the Rams, it's one of those situations where they're gonna look back and they're gonna go, man, we were really close. We really had a chance. They got Devontae Adams this past offseason. You from the second did that they were serious about trying to win a Super Bowl, and instead they fall to the Seahawks. They fall to Cooper Kupp, former Super Bowl hero for them. And now he has a chance to go and get another one. But yeah, I think the Rams are going to look back and go, and of course they played a very good. Seahawks might just be it's like we might look back and go, well, the Seahawks were the best team all year. We just didn't realize it until they, blew out the Niners last week, or week before last now, Also, they might look and go, shit, we had Matt Stafford, and the other team had Sam Darnold. and we lost to him. Or maybe Sam Darnold comes out and he balls out again in the Super Bowl, and then the Rams can't feel like that because they just lost to a fantastic team with a hot quarterback who played very well. Um, so, but yeah, man, the thing about it is that you only get so many chances, and though Sean McVay is still so young, he just turned 40 years old. Puka Nacua is still young, but Devontae Adams, you know, he's not 25 anymore, and receivers don't really age that well, quite frankly. And then Matt Stafford, of course, what is he going to do? Right? He probably won the MVP, ended up and winning, being named MVP this year. Had a great year, 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Came really close to making another Super Bowl. But and I was talking to Galvez about it today. And I was saying, he's only 37. Rodgers played into Rodgers was like 42. Brady played into his 40s. Drew Brees played into his 40s. The Galvez goes, well, yeah, he's been really banged up though, and he's right. Of course, the last 2 years, this has happened with Stafford, where he didn't know whether he was going to come back or not. And of course, if he doesn't come back, they'll probably be in the trade market for a quarterback. Um, you know, he can still play. It's just a matter of how his body feels. But it'd be great if he came back and they made another run at it. But it's just tough when you get that close and you can't get over the hump because you just never know how many chances you're going to get back to that point. You know. So yeah, that sucked for the Rams. But the best asset the Rams have is Sean McVay, and he's only 40 years old. So until he decides that there was one a couple of years ago where it was like maybe Sean McVay wants to go and be a commentator, but it seems like the game is it's still he still has that fire burning inside him. So yeah. All right. So before I get out of here, just a reminder to hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Podcast Network and to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network. You can also send feedback and mailback questions to Complete Lakers Podcast at gmail.com. I am out.